Hi there, it's me again, Nick Nwani, the author of my book called Introduction to Quality Purchasing and Material Management. As I promised the last time, that the next session we're going to be discussing the contents of the book. Yes, I'm going to give you a brief glimpse of the paragraph of each chapter of the book. And then firstly, let me introduce my book. As I said, the book is called Introduction to Quality Purchasing and Material Management. That's the first page, and then that's the back page of the book. Okay. Before I even discuss the chapters of the book, I'm just going to briefly give you the preface of the book because it's going to help us to understand the content of the book further. All right, it goes like this. First and foremost, let me take this opportunity and thank the Almighty God for affording me this great moment in my life by giving me the strength, the intelligence, the passion that I developed in writing this book. I sincerely also want to thank the 4 great companies in the country that I worked for and that gave me the opportunity and the platform that allowed me to explore, to test, to take a step further, to evaluate and analyze to the maximum level all opportunities that avail themselves in order for me to experience and investigate to the highest level to achieve my goals and objectives. That's just a preface, okay? And the book itself, we're gonna start with chapter 1. Chapter 1 is called Introduction. And briefly, this is how it goes. This chapter is aimed at outlining and discussing clearly the ever-changing purposes, standards, and tactics that are evolutionary and profit-oriented, that are defined to continuously improve the overall procurement processes and procedures. Okay, that's chapter 1. And then the brief of chapter 2 goes like this. Chapter 2 it's mainly, or it's more like a functional chapter. It describes mainly the activities happening in procurement. So I'm not gonna dwell on that one long enough. But briefly it goes like this. Purchasing operating procedure. An operating procedure is aimed at outlining in detail the specific actions that need to be taken to accomplish all given tasks within the guidelines of any well-formulated applicable policies. In short, an accurate and strategic analysis is a procedure that establishes and guides employees on the proper way of doing things. Okay, that's briefly chapter 2, which is more administrative than anything else. Okay, this is the important chapter of the book. It's chapter 3. It's called Potential Role of Material Purchasing. The prime and objective of this chapter is to intensify, justify, acknowledge the potential and the significant role and active contribution to profitability by procurement in the company. I cannot emphasize in any stronger terms the importance of the diverse strategies and analytical procurement patterns in price-conscious negotiations and effective quality material acquisition by the procurement department for the company. Today, there are so many aspects, such as technological advice, economic, environmental, scientific, and other cumulative factors that need defined procurement standards. If procurement is not able to look deeply into some, if not all, of these aspects in the long, medium, and short term prospect for the company, then serious and challenging problems may face the company in the near future and in the longer term. That's chapter 3. That's just briefly how it goes about. And then if one wants to read many contents, he can ask for the book, and then we can carry on from there. All right, the next chapter is the role of the buyer and in the relation and relations. The role of the buyer and the relations in purchasing. Okay. Purchasing negotiations and order specification. Purchasing negotiations. The negotiations of better and cheaper prices in any industrial environment today is the biggest thing that has ever happened to purchasing and material management. As mentioned in earlier chapters, material purchasing has been regarded as a supporting administrative element of production, but today it's never the case anymore. Today, this concept has changed completely. Procurement today is entrusted with the unique and profit-generating task that is aimed at maximizing profitability. In order to achieve this objective, the buyer has to negotiate optimally, very skillfully with suppliers, applying all relevant tactics, and must be able to assess and analyze any possible opportunities that avail themselves for him to make profit. In certain industrial entities and certain levels of government institutions, this concept is still not considered and applied to any suitable level, and is met with some misunderstanding, resistance, and denial. In other well-developed industries, where the concept is fully understood, to some extent this term means better understanding of requirements, better quality products, better prices negotiated, better anticipated delivery times, and mutual understanding between the supplier and the buyer. This is chapter 4. We're going to leave it there and then quickly go to chapter 5. Strategies for cost saving in procurement. This is the very most important chapter in the book. It entails every aspect and element that are technologically and scientifically usable when the buyer negotiates for prices. But briefly, it goes like this. Every company spends millions of rands on purchasing of materials required by production, and these huge sums of money need to be monitored and regulated in such a manner that the cost of acquiring this material is minimized and optimized to reduce the ever-escalating cost. In today's concept and standard, procurement and material management has the mammoth task of converting any quantifiable cost saving into profitability. The procurement and the material management division in any enterprise are the only divisions where every rand saved, when better and more appropriate procurement standards and approaches are implemented to always obtain cheaper and better prices for product purchase, will be saved without any further additional cost such as transport costs, advertising, marketing, and the like, being incurred. As is always the case in sales, instead in procurement, only about 1% will be added for administration charges. One of the prime functions of a skilled and observant buyer is to create opportunities for profitability, even where it seems unlikely that there are any. I cannot emphasize how important it is for the buyer to even if the supplier's prices are lower than other suppliers, be able to amicably persuade the same supplier to give more discount, especially in cases where the product that's applicable are both of high quality value, and in certain cases the quantities are much more than the normal quantity purchased. If the buyer fails to detect and implement strategies to the advantage of these opportunities to improve profitability for his company, then there will be no significant additional profit available for this company. Okay, that's the chapter 5. And then we go to chapter 6. Chapter 6 is called On-Demand Purchasing. Briefly, this is how it goes. All materials that are purchased by the company are acquired because there is a need for them, such as demand for them by customers, a need for them in production, low prices from suppliers, making sure that there is always enough stock for production purposes, and customer. There are breakdowns that were not anticipated from customers and many other reasons. Orders on any products will be placed depending on the need, because production needs them or they are needed by the customer, or they are needed to keep stock to required levels. On-demand purchasing is a very complex form of purchasing that requires clear and adequate level of understanding to implement appropriately and to the best level. Why do I call this procurement system on-demand purchasing? Because this is the most intricate system whereby the demand level is very much higher than the supply level. And the most important factor is to bring the two elements closer to one another. And then this is a most complicated and interesting aspect. That's what we call on-demand purchasing. All right, chapter 7 is imported versus local manufactured and transportation of materials. It goes like this. One of the most difficult decisions that the company may face is to decide whether to use locally manufactured materials or to use imported materials to suit the needs of the company. Circumstances beyond management control may, in some instances, force a company to buy most of its material from either local manufacturers or from sources from abroad. It is here that the procurement manager and the team are forced to weigh all available options in order to make sure that after all the appropriate channels have been considered, the company's money is spent wisely and that all available resources are used optimally. This is how far I'm going to go on this chapter. But just to add up, this chapter is also involved with a lot of research and development, and then it must have a strong design division. Okay, and then we go to chapter 8, which is called product component numbers. I don't even know how to briefly discuss this chapter because it is so complex. Because the evolving technology, the standards, the availability of almost similar, same products, but you find that when you are in procurement, you need to make sure that whatever you buy is the right product, because most of the products in these circumstances, especially, are products that are bought in large quantities. So you got to know exactly. That's why we prefer that all products must have component numbers, because there can be a small difference from a radiator of a BMW 316 or a BMW 318. They may look the same, but there can be just one pipe that makes a difference. So you have to be sure that it's the component number you use when you order, when you buy, when you do anything. Otherwise, without a component number, mistakes that cannot be solved, that cannot be solved easily, will take place and occur. But briefly, this is how it goes. Product component number is a single and unique symbol of identification that is aimed at clearly identifying, separating, deviating, and isolating one component from the many other components that are similar and others that are not similar that the company uses. The component number is a solid tool that is aimed at labeling the details and identifiable symbols of component that is not similar and identical to any other symbols and details of all other components. So this is how important this chapter is, especially when you go to motor components of parts or radiators or anything that you can think of. Okay, we're going to chapter 8 now, which is called Economic Strategies, Strategic Tools. What are economic strategic tools? In today's day and age, there's no way you can run a successful business without implementing many of these tools. These are tools like your total quality approach, product demand analysis, product value analysis, tools such as research and development, and many others. MRP2, which has developed drastically, and then it's playing a pivotal role in mainstream industries. So all these tools, no company will see success if it doesn't implement some of these tools. So just briefly, I'm gonna just go through it as well. It goes like this. The economic strategic improvement tools are mechanisms that are formulated and designed to improve economic growth of an enterprise. The Industrial Revolution in the late 1960s brought about some positive changes in the industrial economy, such as mass production, specialized production processes, and specialized manufacturing machinery. Then enterprises never utilized any economic strategies tools, as the economic development and growth was constant and sustainable, and enterprises were making satisfactory profit as budgeted, sometimes even more than what was budgeted. The later Industrial Revolution, however, brought about a severe negative impact on the world economy. The adverse economic conditions that continued to prevail around the world, which had a negative impact on profitability on any manufacturing sector, resulted in many enterprises that are profit-oriented seeking convenient ways and mechanisms that will help them to enhance and improve their overall operation and functionality. This mechanism will always differ from company to company, from country to country, but the most important fact is that the aim is the same for every enterprise and is to maximize profitability. This is up to far will go. There are other 3-4 chapters, but they are more administrative, and then we can discuss them at the later stage when I get more time. But for now, I'm gonna stop there, and then I hope that this will help all the students to understand when I say the intended purpose of the book is to transform. We're not talking about what happened 50 years ago, 20 years ago. We're talking about what's happening today, as you can feel from the chapters. We're talking about what's happening today, what we need for the future, what we need to improve today and make the future be better, especially in a South African context, because we are still far behind on this aspect. So yes, the other chapters, I will go through them with you in the next assignment. For now, I want to thank you all and good luck. Thank you.